morning, and welcome to Talk of the Town on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
And we welcome you to Talk of the Town for this Tuesday, April the 7th. I'm Gary Stevens. We will be having some open line following the 11 o'clock news block. An hour from now, it'll be Patty Vandenberg, What's New Around Holland. And our 10 o'clock segment, it'll be our Yard and Garden Hour with the Master Gardener, Jan Musin. But on this first Tuesday of the month, we spend it talking about Zeeland. And we feel the zeal with City Manager Tim Klunder on the other side of our Zoom connection. Tim, good morning and welcome to WHTC's Talk of the Town.
Good morning, Gary. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us. And if you have a question about what's going on in Zeeland, the operational leader of the city of Zeeland, Tim Klunder, can help answer your calls at 395-1450, 395-1450. First of all, Tim, I think we here at WHTC and many of our listeners are sending our deepest sympathies and our thoughts to the family of Kevin Kleinstra. His wife had passed away, and part of the reason why you are joining us today is because Mayor Kleinstra is dealing with this tough time in his family right now.
Yeah, definitely appreciate those sentiments. We actually had a city council meeting last night, our first electronic meeting. Mayor Kleinstra did attend, and he certainly expressed his gratitude for the number of people in the community that have reached out for him, either with cards or food, and we've certainly heard from a number of our neighboring communities as well. So on behalf of Mayor Kleinstra, certainly want to pass along his gratitude for all of those sentiments during this difficult time, especially with the coronavirus. Funerals are limited, and so that makes a difficult time even more difficult right now.
If you have a question for Mayor Kleinstra, call us at 395-1450, 395-1450. Let's go into the WHTC newsroom. Peg McNichol, you are with us.
Yes, Tim, my question is, you're doing the meetings electronically. Can people listen to or see the video related to that? I did not participate in your meeting, obviously, but is there an archived record where people can check out the conversation if they missed it last night?
We did not record it. Our city clerk records the meetings regularly, just so she can make sure she gets the minutes correct, but we did not actually record the WebEx meeting last night. We probably have that ability, quite honestly, Peg, but that was our first meeting, and so we're still learning our way through it as well.
Totally understand. Very quickly, when the clerk records it, is that as an MP3 or is it on not to be rude?
Yeah, I think it's just a small MP3 device.
Oh, it is an MP3 versus a cassette
I believe it.
Is there a way you guys could post the MP3?
I do not know that off the top of my head.
I know, I didn't mean to blindside you, but many
right.
more now we are getting, after the governor does her press conferences and things like that. Now the Michigan Association of Broadcasters provides an MP3 because the state police they record those events. So if you don't broadcast it live, and so we often post those as podcasts. So I'm just curious.
Sure.
That was my big question.
That's all right. But
to that point, if you don't mind, I just want to clarify that. I mean, the public is allowed to call in, so that's how we conducted the meeting last night. It was we used WebEx. So the city council did have video feed if they wanted it. I don't think any of them actually used it.
Mm-hmm.
They used the audio portion, but we did have a published phone number for the public to call in and had a couple of public comment periods during the meeting.
The problems that Kalamazoo had last week, we talked with Keith Van Beek, the Holland city manager. His brother-in-law is the Kalamazoo city manager. And it was definitely a learning curve there, and communities are trying to embrace this, but also understanding that the trolls, and not just us who live south of the Mackinac Bridge, the trolls are out there as well. And you got to watch out for them.
That is correct. We were fortunate. We didn't have any of those incidences last night. So again, for our first meeting, we were relatively pleased with how it all worked out.
If you got a question for City Manager Tim Klunder in Zeeland, call us at 395-1450, 395-1450. Just looking at the agenda from last night's meeting, obviously rules of procedures. What different things did the Zeeland City Council have to do last night that they normally would not be doing under a face-to-face situation?
Yeah, well, obviously, other than not coming into City Hall, only Mayor Kleinstra was at City Hall. I would say the biggest difference was for each action item, there was a roll call vote. When a City Council member made a motion to approve one of the agenda items, we made sure that they stated their name. We're pretty confident we can do voice recognition because it's, only 7 of them, but still, we just had them clarify their name. The council member that supported it also did the same. But then each action item was done by a roll call vote, which that isn't normal business. If it's a routine item, usually it's just the mayor asks for a vote at one time, and you can hear the majority. But given it was all online, each one was done via roll call.
Now, the important thing about last night's meeting, besides getting some of the bugs worked out there, Tim, about meeting virtually instead of meeting in face-to-face, is dealing with the spending plan, the budget for fiscal 2021. And last night was the time for the Zeeland to try to get that hammered out and taken care of.
That's correct. So that is one of the reasons that we did meet last night. So quite honestly, again, with the governor's stay home order and subsequent executive orders, we can meet electronically. But as a rule, I would say most governments are trying to, they're just canceling meetings unless there's necessary business. With the budget, we felt that was necessary business. We did combine that with our regular city council meeting. There was 3 action items that we wanted to take on the regular agenda last night as well. But that not a typical process for us from the standpoint. Usually when we present a budget to city council, it's over a couple nights, same time frame, usually late March, early April. But then each of the department heads comes in, presents their budget. And again, that's done over 2 nights. Last night, we condensed it into 1 night. And our finance director, Kevin Plockmeyer, did a wonderful job. He actually presented the entire budget, essentially on behalf of all the department heads. And so, yeah, a little bit different process. Again, overall, it seemed to work. What I can tell you is, I would say the primary highlight from the budget was the fact that City Council does recognize that a number of people in our community are already financially feeling the impact of COVID-19, the shutdown on businesses, of course, layoffs, and or even folks that might be dealing with the virus as well. So they did at least present in the budget. We will consider it May 4 for final adoption. But as presented, it did have a reduction in our millage by 1 mil. And then the second part that they did from an immediate standpoint in the recommendation or the proposed budget, we have a downtown maintenance special assessment that helps care for our parking lots, snow plowing, planting of flowers, sweeping the sidewalks, all those type of things. This will be the second year coming up for that maintenance assessment on our downtown businesses, and they will be recommending that this year's assessment be waived. So those were 2 of the immediate things that we did in response to, again, the world we're living in right now. Those won't be felt immediately by our taxpayers because the millage itself goes on the July bill, the special assessments on the winter bill. But again, I think our city council felt it was at least a good faith effort to try and recognize what many are going through in our community.
Tim Klunder is the city manager of the city of Zeeland. If you have a question for Tim, he'll take it at 395-1450, 395-1450. It's almost a case as the man who has to be the operational leader of the city. You got to be somewhat agile and quick on your feet over the next, I want to say, a few weeks, if not months, because the ramifications financially of what we're going through right now is going to be felt, and plans right now to spend X for this might have to be changed because revenue Y is not going to meet the expenditure of X that was allocated.
You're absolutely right, Gary. That, I think, was another big message that we shared with City Council last night. Was you always have a conversation around a budget document that it's a plan, and there's always subject to change. I think this year was time to remind that more than ever. We're building a budget at a moment in time, the best we know it right now. What I can tell you is typically government revenue lags about a year behind on what businesses typically feel. So for the upcoming budget, that will start July 1, other than the fact that, again, we're proposing to reduce the millage by 1, not levy the special assessment. A lot of our other revenue sources may not see that immediate impact, but we're planning for it. Again, a year from now, I'm sure we'll start to see more of those impacts as well.
Good morning. You're on the line with City Manager Tim Klunder of Zeeland.
We've had a mild winter, and I'm sure that the winter maintenance surplus, we have a surplus in money. How is that going to be used?
Yeah, so how that works is that will stay in our major and local street fund, and that will carry over into the next fiscal year to support those operations in the next fiscal year. So whether that's maintenance on streets or it is winter maintenance for the following fiscal year, again, that's where that revenue, any surplus from this year's light winter, will stay within those funds.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate the call. 395-1450, 395-1450. If you have a question for Zeeland City Manager Tim Klunder. The other thing I want to talk about is, in light of the COVID-19 situation, is dealing with road projects. The governor has deemed road projects to be critical infrastructure work, and obviously the work on the state trunkways is going through. What about Zeeland? Some of the projects still a go, even though right now, we're supposed to stay home, stay safe.
Correct. Yeah. So we took a similar assessment. We certainly followed closely what MDOT was doing with their road projects. Again, tried to follow or at least consult with other local agencies on what they were doing with their road projects too. So our immediate, I should say, road project is Carlton. That's a 1 block area and just east of our downtown. The good news, if I can say it that way, on that particular project is we have very few properties that abut that 1 block. So we've asked the contractor, they are comfortable going forward with the project. So we have deemed that as a critical infrastructure project. What we have required and what they had in place already anyways was a field operations guidelines for their dealing with COVID-19 as well. As you can imagine, on a road project, in a lot of ways, they're already doing the social distancing, for many of the tasks that they do. So that project will actually start next week. That will go as right now, as it's planned, that would go into just about early June. And then that same contractor plans to shift over to West Lawrence, which is our other street project. That particular project does have a number of residences along it in that block. So at that time, we'll be able to better assess, what kind of measures we have in place around coronavirus and social distancing and things of that nature. So that's where we stand right now. Some of our other projects that we're looking for maybe later summer. So we were going to do a mill and resurface project on Cherry and do some work around our library. We are in active discussion right now if that project will go forward this year or if we'll simply bump it back to next spring.
Tim, talk about the mitigation aspects in Zeeland City Hall with Zeeland City Government. You heard from CBS that perhaps we are starting to rally as a nation. And what has Zeeland been doing to try to make sure that if COVID-19 comes around, it's sort of kept in check?
Yeah, so certainly good news that we're hearing on the national front. I hope that holds true. But from the city standpoint, again, we were doing a number of mitigation measures before the stay-home order, but maybe I'll focus on once the stay-home order came out. We, just like any other private business, went through our workforce and determined which of our positions met that critical infrastructure worker definition. What I can tell you is the vast majority of our city workforce and the Board of Public Works as well met that critical infrastructure workforce definition. So we are fully operational from a citizen standpoint perspective, but obviously the way they do business with the city is quite different than normal. So we have closed City Hall to any public access at this point in time. So we're certainly encouraging phone calls for them to do their business online as much as possible. As far as our workforce goes, we've done various measures throughout each of the departments. So some departments have went to a 12-hour schedule where they're rotating so that they have various teams that don't cross paths with each other. So you're hopefully isolating if an incident happens on one of those teams, it does not cross paths and go to the next team. We have some of our departments that are working on alternate day schedules. So some work Monday, Wednesday, Friday, others Tuesday, Thursday, and then the following week they will flip. We also have a number of positions that are job sharing, if you will. So same thing, maybe one of those people comes in to support payroll for that particular week. And then towards the end of the week, a different person comes in and helps generate paying of invoices that we're receiving. So we're trying to social distance as much as possible. I would say on a daily basis, we have about 4 people in City Hall. On a normal everyday, that's more like 10 or 12, I would say is more normal for us. The other thing I would note that I didn't mention previously was just work from home. So in any situation where we could have somebody that could do a good majority of their work from home, we have enabled that as much as possible. And so we also have a fair amount of our employees that are doing that too. But clearly, there's just some things that you can't do remotely. You have to do them in person. And so that applies to our police force, our fire rescue department, some of the critical infrastructure tasks that our streets department needs to tend to. But overall, we, as of right now, we are in good shape, which is a good thing. And we're obviously we're hoping it stays that way.
But unfortunately, a byproduct of what we are going through right now is events that are traditional have been wiped out, either postponed or canceled. Out here, of course, the big event has been Tulip Time, and that is now been canceled for 2020, and looking for the 91st Tulip Time now in 2021. Are we getting close to where perhaps some events in Zeeland are going to have to go by the wayside, or at least be postponed because of the lingering after effects of the stay home, stay safe executive order?
Yeah, we are. So right now the library is closed. We just made the decision last week that all events at the community center They were canceled through April 13th. We've now extended that through the end of the month. I didn't talk with our library community center director. My guess is a number of those were planning to cancel on their own anyways, but we will certainly offer those that are canceled refunds. Beyond that, we have not canceled to this point. We're waiting for to hear what the governor does with the stay home order. I think everybody expects that in some fashion that will be extended. I don't have any inside network on that, but I think we're just all kind of expecting that. So I would say probably our biggest event that's on the horizon that we've had active discussion. Carrie Vendorp, our events coordinator, is our peddlers market that happens on Memorial Day weekend. So that one, this is the time where she's typically sending out, kind of the final directions for those that want to participate in that event. Last week, she did send out an email update just saying, sit tight. We wanted to see again what happens with this stay home order. But I would say within the next week or so, we're going to have to make a decision around that event.
It will be, unfortunately, the byproduct of what is going on in our community right now. Tim, obviously, we are out of time in terms of this particular segment. Cityofzeeland.com is the website, by the way. It has been changed a little bit, so if you try the old one, you're going to have some issues. But the new one, cityofzeeland.com, all the information you need, what's going on in Zeeland, is the site to do that. One other thing, and we'll make it real quick, how much support have you gotten from the state and maybe from some municipal associations during this time to make sure that you're in step with what the state wants to do, but also they're supporting you because some of the things you'd like to do, you can't do right now?
Yeah, I would say, and I'm going to use this when I say the word, I mean it in a good way. I would say we are inundated with information, at least from folks like our Michigan Municipal League. We regularly tune in with Ottawa County, what they're putting out in their various press releases, the state health department. So I would say communication has been at an all-time high. It's always good here in West Michigan between local jurisdictions in the county, but now adding on to the state, fantastic from that standpoint. We have not had to tap into any state resources financially. Overall, we've been holding our own, which is a good thing. I can tell you, we're just like everybody else, or Ottawa County is, getting personal protection equipment down to our first responders and all that. It's tight. So currently we're in good shape. But, if we get that wave of cases like they've had on the east side of the state, then it's a little more concerning. But as of right now, we're doing okay.
Tim Klunder, City Manager, City of Zeeland, thank you very much for joining us today on Talk of the Town, spending some time talking about the city. Hope to chat with Mayor Kleinstra next month. And, of course, anytime we need to chat with you, we look forward to doing so.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a great day and be safe, be healthy.
Thank you very much. Tim Klunder, the City Manager of Zeeland on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC. We have CBS News with Peter King, Mick with WHTC News, and then it'll be the Master Gardener, Jan Musin, after the top of the hour.